The Greens are calling for rent control. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because I want to discuss a tweet from the leader of the Australian Greens, one that concerns me because it shows you that our politicians have indeed not learned from the mistakes of other countries. From Adam Band, leader of the Greens, who looks exactly the same, like he's a twin of the last Greens leader, isn't he? I swear I have that face blindness disease where I don't recognize people. He looks exactly the same as the last Greens leader. Let me know in the comments if they're like identical people. Anyway, we need to have a national conversation about renting. We all know what the problem is. Rents are through the roof. Yes, and that is a signal. Rents through the roof are a signal that supply isn't keeping up with demand. Okay, that's a signal. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's a signal. That's what it is. You got to take your emotion out of it, greenies. You got to. Go hug a tree. The answer starts with a rent freeze. A 2-year freeze on rent increases so wages can catch up. Now, I understand the argument for this. I understand why they're putting it forward. But this is a dangerous path to go down. Ireland interfered in their rental market, and the stock of available housing crashed. It's been a complete and utter disaster. You don't want the government getting involved in these type of things. They already are so involved in the housing sector, they overheat construction. They get in the way of new builds and development. You've got conflicting arguments from state, federal, and local council all coming together. So what we need to do, once again, is discuss rent controls and the actual impact of these things, because the Greens are putting this forward, and there's a whole generation that is going to learn the hard way that these things do not work and cause problems, rather than looking at precedent. I don't know. So let's get here on the PowerPoint. And share this video with anyone you know that is advocating for these policies, because the only hope we have is educating more people about what actually happens in these markets. So here we have a free market rent right here. Let me get the pen. Okay, this is a normal market. This is the quantity of rental properties here on this axis, and this is the rent that people can charge. Now, in a certain market, an equilibrium is reached, where at a certain quantity and a certain price, that's what's provided. This is this line here, this one going down, this line sloping down this way. That's the demand for rented houses, and this here is the supply, the short-run supply of rented houses, and an equilibrium is reached. Now, if they introduce a rent ceiling, or a price cap, or a rent freeze, so let's say here we wanted a P. I'm trying to draw with my mouse, P2. Now, what happens is, this situation here where we've got equilibrium in the market, where enough is provided, and the rent prices are in equilibrium with that, it adjusts. What's going to happen is, the price is going to be artificially lowered to this level here. So that means demand at this price level, at the P2 price level, is at this quantity over here, Q2. But what's happened is, at this price level, the supply of property has dropped down to here, Q3. So you've got a difference between the number of houses people want over here to what they can actually get over here. Because people are going to go, you know what, no, I'm not going to rent my house out for that money. I'd rather keep it empty. Or I'll rent it out as an Airbnb. Or it's my holiday house. I don't want to deal with all the bullshit of having people there. I'll just keep it empty. Or I'll let my kids stay in there for free. They will remove them from the market, or they'll sell them to people, and then people will buy it. And I know that, that's great, people getting into more homes. That's what we want. We want home ownership in this country, not socialized housing. But that also reduces the stock of rented housing that people use as a stepping stone through life. So this is the excess demand right here, Q2 and Q3. And it reduces the returns to landlords. And you'll cause a fall in supply. So the supply curve will move this way. So this is the new supply curve. Or it creates a black market, a shadow market here, unofficial. So people will rent it out at that rent and then they'll sub-rent it illegally. That's what will happen. This is not a good thing. I'm going to look up the Irish housing crisis. Hang on. Here we go. Here's another one. This is reports claim rent controls have backfired and worsened the crisis. We've looked at this before. This is in 2022 in Ireland. Government measures to control rents have backfired in many cases and have led to an increase in rents, a new report has claimed. The study by economist Jim Power suggested the rent pressure zones introduced in 2016 to limit rent price increases have resulted in significant rent rigidities and an inefficient two-tier system where property maintenance of rental properties is no longer economically viable. I mean, this is the thing. Rents is not just a greedy landlord being a bastard and hoovering up money. It costs a lot to maintain a house. If there's any damage, they've got to rectify it. And sure, some landlords may not be as perfect as others, but that's what you're paying for. When you're renting a house, you're not paying someone else's mortgage off. You're paying for the privilege of using a property. And no, don't go and tell me, houses are right for everyone. No, it's not a right. A right is pretty much you want the government to protect your property rights and not to hoover up all your money and to enforce the law between different parties. It's not a right to have a house. You've got to work for that. And by interfering in this market, we're just going to create more issues, more problems. And it's going to backfire like every other place that it happened. Why aren't we learning these lessons? So, many smaller landlords have exited the market, replaced by institutional landlords with new stock at higher rents. Now, this is what really scares me, honestly. This is the whole... In Australia, we're still quite fortunate. We don't have the big corporate landlords like in other parts of the world. You've got mum and dad landlords. So hopefully they can be a little bit more sensible. But when you're dealing with that, it's going to be completely ruthless. So guys, I will link to this video that we've gone through before, this article. But let's have a talk about this one. So the Greens are calling for a rent freeze. Please share and share the implications of what they're calling for with the wider community. When your friends, they may, on the face value, it may sound sensible. Freezing rents to let wages catch up, it sounds good. But it's going to scare people away from investing in property. And we're struggling to meet the demand issues at the moment. And then the Greens are proposing even more money into that, and they're going to stomp on the ability of the private sector, and they're going to disincentivize investment. People are going to get out of the market, will lose rental stock. I think we're just going to have to learn the hard way, guys. I think that's the future of Australia. That's how this generation has to learn. What do you reckon? We're going to repeat the same mistakes as every other country in the world. Just wait till we shut down all our coal plants. We're screwed like Germany. Hey, hopefully we can plug the nuclear subs into our cities to get a bit of power. What do you reckon? Although I don't think it works that way. Anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Check out HeiseBIM and Heise Does for other content I create. If you want to support us, you can on YouTube or Patreon. You can use our referral links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. You can buy our pocket squares or call us if you need an architect. Take care. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.